We are Councilor Blair, myself, and Councilor Jackson. The first thing we're going to do tonight is Mr. Brad Goldstein is here. He is recently appointed by this council member of the Cultural Council, and he's here to talk with us and introduce himself to us and to the community. So, Brad, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brad Goldstein. I've been a resident of Attleboro for the last 2 years or so. I live over on Forest Street. I'm a landlord in town as well, and I'm looking forward to being able to give back to the community in any way that I can. So I'm excited to be here and excited to start on the council.
Great. Go ahead.
We're neighbors.
Oh.
We live right around the corner. Are you just underneath the bridge right there? Did you just...
Just over 53 on the corner of Falmouth, actually.
Got it. All right. We're welcome to the neighborhood.
Oh, thank you. Stop by
On the
sometime.
Cultural Council, they do such a really great job, and I'm sure that there are some kids that'll be knocking on your door for what do you call them? Grant opportunities. So.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the gentleman? No?
Just congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your service to the city.
Thanks.
Thank you. And the clerk will see you Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, moving along. From the docket of September 20th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to confirm the appointment of Scott G. Jones, 65 Oak Hill Avenue, to fill an unexpired term on the planning board, term to expire September 2017.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Blair. So you all received in the mayor's communication the cover letter from Mr. Jones to the mayor regarding the meeting that they had. His resume was attached, but he's also a member of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. He has been since 2015. And, we will, again, have him come in and introduce himself to us and to the community at another time. But I feel like most of us have probably either know or have met him. So therefore, I was bringing it before the committee to ensure that the planning board has what they need for quorums and that kind of thing to have meetings. So I hate to interrupt that flow. So if anybody has any problems with that, we can try to get him in here next week before the meeting, but I would prefer just to do it at a next committee meeting. Don't see any objection to that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passed. Oh, any other comments or problems? I see a lot of head shaking, but okay, great. Thanks. Motion passes. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned 7:03.
You don't mind, I'm just going to do it from here. I'd like to call the Committee on Ordinances, Elections, Legislative Matters to order at 7:03. All right, I got two matters to bring before the committee tonight. First of all, I entertain from the docket of September 6, 2000.
Did you need Jay? Did you need?
Oh, I
Because you don't have anyone.
Frank? Yeah.
No, we just need Jeremy,
Do you need another person?
Yeah, I need
Vice
Jeremy.
President Dinley.
Get your Ross.
All right,
I
so,
stopped here.
Business with the president. That's okay.
all right, I have two motions, Mr. Denley. So from the docket of September 6, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $8,879.42 to account 1162100-511000 elections salary to cover the reduction of force in the elections office that was planned for July 1st that was extended to November 28th.
Second.
Thank you. All right, so this is a motion just to be able to give the elections office the resources they need to be able to staff the polls, especially with early voting coming up. So I have a schedule, if anyone wants it, of the early voting I got from Mary Ann Drain. So the early voting hours are Monday, October 24th through Friday, October 28th, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m., Saturday, October 29th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday, October 31st through Friday, November 4th, 8:30 to 4:30, Wednesday, November 2nd, open until 7:30. The location will be here at City Hall. It will either be in the chambers or in the annex room. They're still flushing that out right now. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Mrs. Parika?
Just a quick question. I know it, but maybe you could
Yeah.
reiterate it, that was per Mass state law.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, Mass state law has started, this is the first year that we're actually doing early voting across the Commonwealth to give folks the opportunity to be able to get out, who ordinarily may not be able to get out or get their absentee ballot in. So this is something different. So, you know, I'm trusting the Election Commission and the Elections Office that, you know, the schedule's gonna work and the location will work as well. Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on from the docket of December 22nd, 2015, I entertain a motion to approve the following amendment of Section 9-47.2 under Section 9-47 Motor Vehicle Dealers of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro by deleting that section in its entirety, inserting new Section 9-47.2 as follows. Section 9-47.2, completed renewal applications for licenses under Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Sections 57 to 59, Class 1, 2, and 3 must be received by the office of the clerk on or before the first Friday in November. In order to be processed, the renewal application must be submitted in its entirety, including a check or money order for the applicable license renewal fee. If a renewal application does not meet the conditions here under, the existing license shall expire January 1st in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapters 14, Section 59. The license renewal fee for an application received after the first Friday in November shall be tripled. Payments of such triple fee shall not relieve any person from fully complying with the requirements of the above-mentioned Massachusetts general law and revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro. This ordinance becomes effective immediately upon passage.
Second.
Thank you, Council Denley. This was a piece of business that was brought in at the end of last year by former Councilor Walter Thibodeau and President Cook. And what this does is, at the end of last year, if we remember, we had, I think it was the last meeting of the year, there were several, up to 15 public hearings for people who didn't get the applications in on time. What this does is it removes the clause that we have to have a public hearing. It gives financial motivation to have the car dealers get their license in completed on time, and it's also uniform with what we have in the ordinance book throughout, most notably the building department. So we had the public hearing on the 6th. Nobody came, so I think that, as far as I'm concerned, it's the right thing to do. Gives the financial motivation. It's going to help the folks at the clerk's office, and I want to thank Clerk Withers and Sharon Vive for spending time with President Cook and I as we kind of work through all the language of this. Any other thoughts, questions, discussions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. And that is all the business I have tonight, and we call for an adjournment at 7:08.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned at 7:08. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I have no business for the, you know what, how come I can never remember my committee name?
Zoning and land use.
Thank you. I always remember the land use part, I never remember the zoning part. That's it, so I'm canceled. And also on the Committee of Public Works, we'll cancel that for this evening and have it for next evening, next part.
City property and claims. No, it's capital improvements and city development is Richard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Capital improvements and city development is canceled this evening as well.
I'm up. So I call the committee meeting on transportation and traffic to order at 7:09. My members are Councilor Reynolds and Vice President Henry. So I have one motion, and then I have a couple of things that I want to share with you. I'll get to that in a moment. I am making from the docket of August 16, 2016, I'm making a motion to strike, to add a crosswalk on Rome Boulevard at Green Drive.
Second.
Thank you. This matter's been resolved. and the constituents that made the request for that no longer feel it's necessary, it wasn't necessarily supported, and so we don't need to do that anymore.
Is it in?
They repainted some of the craft, this was new business that was brought in. The circumstances in the neighborhood have changed.
Okay.
So it's perfectly acceptable. They did repaint multiple crosswalks all along Rome Boulevard and Rathbone Willard, so they were satisfied.
Okay.
I'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. There are quite a few different things on my docket and my agenda that I'll be managing. We have some kind of follow-up work that I have to do. However, one of the hot things that everyone likes to talk about is the Briggs Corner. I was hoping that I spoke with Councilor Jackson earlier today. We're not on any committees together, but the changes that they're making at Briggs Corner, Oak Hill Ave, and Park Street, they are being done by the Public Works, but it's also business that's in my committee. So I met with Lance this morning. I thought I would give you guys a bit of an update. So here's a nice map, a handy dandy map for everyone. So I don't know if anyone has been through that area recently. They are making some very specific changes in that area. It's in my committee to have a light installed. We're trying to do everything we possibly can to prevent having to have a light installed in that location. So if you've been down that way, if you went to go and get a pizza or anything like that, you'll notice that the DPW's been down there and they've bumped out the sidewalks. And paving will commence probably on Thursday, the 15th. And we're pretty much paving from Locust Street to Briggs Corner. They, like I said, just this past week, they have rebuilt the sidewalks, but they also took time. They've moved the center line. If you're going into Briggs Corner, and Briggs Corner Pizzeria is right in front of you, they've moved the center line over and made that a 2-lane area for a right turn. Well, we say right turn only, and then a left turn going down Oak Hill Avenue. It looks to me we have a lot of hope that this will kind of help individuals that are coming, motorists that are coming into that area. They're putting their blinkers on when they actually have the right of way, and it'll be nicely repainted, and it'll make that area a little more narrow, so people aren't just flying all over the place. So I think that this will be, the results of this will be coming sooner rather than later. They also have 2 new signs, if you'd see up here in the corner of the map, where Route 118 goes and where Oak Hill Avenue goes. So I think that with the new signage and the painting and the new sidewalks and the new paving and all of that, I think that'll kind of it'll help alleviate some of the congestion and problems that we have over at Oak Hill Avenue. This is one of the things that I've gotten a lot of phone calls on. People in that area, they don't want a light at all. And I appreciate Lance going through and kind of figuring out a great way to kind of make the corrections here. So if you have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to contact Lance for you. So just, you can send Ken an email and send it to me or whatever, and I can follow up with you on that. Other than that concludes my business. But Traffic Study Commission is tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. I have a responsibility at one of my children's schools, so I'll be rolling into there a little bit later. But there are things in here that will be moving out a little faster in the next few weeks. That being said, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:14. Thank you.
Thank you. Reporting for the Committee on Licenses, I have one motion today. I entertain a motion to approve the 2016 renewal keeping a stand in a public place license application dated July 18th, 2016 from Carlos M. Silva for Sangria's, 59 Park Street, Attleboro, Mass. 02703 for 3 tables Monday to Sunday, 12 noon to 1 a.m.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Parika.
You're welcome.
This is just the second license that they needed to get to have outdoor tables. That's all.
They're just changing the time from noon, because before it was from like 5 to close, and now it's noon. They're changing their store hours. Is that it?
Yes. So if you want to go for lunch.
Go for lunch.
On a wonderful occasion, Mr. Cooper.
Would any other conditions that were part of it carry year to year, or do we have to, were there any?
The hat thing.
Yeah.
And then we set closing and opening times.
Okay.
So
Thank
no
you.
more. So now you can wear a hat. And I think they actually changed their policy in the store too.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That is all the business I have for the committee on licenses. I move to adjourn at 7:15.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
I'd like to call Budget and Appropriations to order at 7:15 PM. From the docket of September 20th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $60,866.17 to account 1300100-511110 education salaries for crossing guards.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. I talked to the police chief. All of the crossing guards that were taken out of specific areas were put back in those direct locations. And this is to, I'm glad to have this come back down. And any other comments? Okay, all in favor?
Oh, no,
Mrs. Parika?
thank you. I appreciate that. I do have some comments to make with regards to this, and I wanted to make them tonight during the committee as opposed to during the full council, so that we have, if there are further questions or anything like that, we can follow up. I did prepare my statement so that I could kind of keep things congruent. I think it's important to kind of refresh not only our minds, but to update the public about the actions that brought us here tonight, given the recent media coverage on this issue. And I have a question that I've thought of repeatedly, and it's, when has this council, over comments that have been made, when has this council, or any other council for that matter, ever voted against public safety? And the answer is simply, it's never. We've never voted against that. The public is who we're here to represent and to serve, and I strongly feel that we all agree on that. Now, I couldn't be happier as well, as Chairperson Hegley said, that the administration reinstated the crossing guards, since it was never the council's intention that crossing guards be laid off when we cut the funding in that line item. At least that was my understanding. When the council cut the education professional services budget line item, it passed by a vote of 9-2. And why did it pass 9-2? Because the compelling discussion that took place consisted of two very distinct topics. One, it was a request to share information that had been supplied to the police chief in May that clearly outlined locations and numbers of crossing guards necessary. We wanted more information on a particularly large line item. We wanted to have clear information. We had questions to see if it would be necessary to relocate any of the posts and eventually add more if deemed necessary. Number two, this council guaranteed that upon receiving the information that we had asked for, that we would take whatever measure was necessary to properly fund the salary line item based on that information. Not many votes passed this council, 9-2, and perhaps councilors have some regret on their vote, but they shouldn't. It was a good use of our powers as a council. Sometimes we have to withhold funding to slow the process down to ensure that we get the information that we need to make good decisions. The hardest part of this job, for me especially, is knowing what questions to ask and when to ask them. Perhaps we asked this particular question a little bit later in the budget process than the administration would have liked, but we can ask questions anytime and still deserve answers to the questions that we ask. As a side note, I haven't received this information, and perhaps some of you have, but it hasn't made its way to me. The whole public uproar that was caused by cutting the crossing guards was simply unnecessary, and in my opinion, careless. There was no need to have long-term crossing guards lose their jobs. There was no need for parents to unnecessarily worry about how their children were going to get to school safely. So why was it unnecessary? For a multitude of reasons. The budget cut took place in June. If the information was supplied prior to the July 19th council meeting, the funding could have been requested and reinstated by the July 21st meeting, long before school started. Again, in August, if the information had been provided prior to the 16th meeting, the funding could have been reinstated by the August 18th meeting, again, long before school started. But that didn't happen either, and I'm still not sure why. Here's the thing, even after the cut, there's enough money in the enough payroll funds in that particular line item, not only to start the school year, but to have a fully staffed guard for over 90 school days. So why create the panic? Like, I don't understand why we created the panic. Why continue the divisiveness between the administration and foster even more divisiveness between counselors? And you might as well throw the police chief in as well. Why withhold the information that we've requested? If you're a parent of a former kindergarten student like I am, you know when the 100th day of school is, because we have to do 100-day projects. And it's usually after Valentine's Day because they all have those candy hearts all over them. Depending on snow days, it's after February vacation. We have more than enough time to we've provided the information that we asked for. So this is kind of where I get stuck. I cannot and I will not support the supplemental appropriation on education salary line item at this time if the council does not have in its possession the requested information. As I've indicated, we have time. I'm confident that the information is available. The chief is a thorough and effective leader, and none of this was necessary. Not one bit. We, the council, are not reckless. We're never reckless with public safety. Never have and never will be. But we've been reckless with spending in the past, and that time's over. We're struggling as a community, and frugality is the new norm on this council floor. So what does it mean for us as a council if we approve the funds without having the appropriate follow-through that we requested? We can continue on like this council has in the past. We can refund this line item without our request being fulfilled or the questions answered. But we'd be surrendering the tools we have to ensure the funds are being allocated properly. Or we can say what we mean and mean what we say and command the respect that this body deserves. I refuse to surrender the integrity of this body, which is exactly what we would be doing by taking the easy way out. We should not approve the supplemental appropriation without the additional data. It makes us look weak and like we have no follow-through. Our constituents deserve our best work, our best decisions, and our best efforts. That's our job. And that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you. And as chairperson, I never make comments from the seat as chairperson until it comes out onto the main floor, my own personal comments. I'm not going to speak to the for the police chief. I know he had some choice words of his own about this particular item, and I'll make my comments next week when we vote on it. I saw Councilor Hall, but Mr. Blair's on the committee, so Mr. Blair.
I don't particularly like the speech that was prepared, but that's me. I was one of the two that voted against the cut. I would never have put the kids at risk in the first place. I don't think putting children and holding them hostage was proper council procedure in the first place. Also, the chief of police sat at a table here during the budget hearings. And if I'm correct, he was never asked a question directly about the crossing guards that evening. Okay? So when we say you don't get the information, that's what the budget hearings are about. If you choose not to come to a budget hearing or not ask the questions, don't blame the administration. Thank you.
Yes, when this came up originally, I felt that my first duty as a counselor was to go over and speak to the police chief, which I did. And he was gracious enough to spend an hour or more with me explaining his thoughts on this particular item. So I felt very comfortable weeks ago that I had gotten the information that I needed as a counselor to help me answer this question and to make the right decision. In which case, I was very much for trying to get this back out, back on the floor, and get these people back on as soon as we can. And again, you know, if not more. So, I mean, there's been a lot that's come out, there's been a lot that's talked about. But, you know, I guess people have different approaches. I don't disagree that we should be able to ask questions. We should ask questions. We should have asked questions during the budget. We should not have taken what I have problems with is at the day that we're actually approving the budget to have all these items come down without anybody there to talk about, without anybody there to show us what the impact was to any of these things. And I do feel, I will say, I am one of those counselors that do regret, and I'll say that right out in public, some of the decisions that I made, and I have said out in public also. far as today, I can say, and I hope that I can stick to this, I will not let that happen again. And that's the end of my discussion.
Ms. Reynolds?
So I just have a few comments on this too, since it's brought up during committee, and I agree wholeheartedly with Councilor Parika, and I also agree with Councilor Hall. I also had a very long conversation with the chief, and it was a great one. He was very forthcoming. So my memory of some of what was what Councilor Parika said, and the other one is that we all, or someone told us, and we believed it, that the contracts were up, or there wasn't even a contract, that they weren't in a union. So that was something that I recall. And we also were very late receiving that budget, so that's another reason why I think this happened. So when I spoke to both the chief and the gentleman that came in here and spoke later, they told me their contract is up next year. So one of the things we were hoping at that time when we all said no, or the 9 of us said no, was that we thought that we could negotiate, or the chief would have had a better opportunity to negotiate and possibly take away vacation pay, because we thought that that was frivolous, and we might be able, in fact, to add additional crossing guards, which the chief, quite frankly, said he needs, not less, but more. Mm-hmm. And I agree, we would like to know where those are. But so with that in mind, I was comfortable that I had gotten the information. I was getting nervous, school was coming up. I made a decision to call him. He was very great in responding to me. And I do think that however we thought that the contracts were up, that's what started that. But I think we were all very clear at that moment in time that whatever the need was, we were going to support that. We never once said we wanted to put anyone at risk. And so I believe that the articles that were in the paper were very misinformed and created friction that just did not need to be there. And having been a reporter myself at time, I can say that it was just poor. As far as I'm concerned, and it put a lot of people at odds, and it ended up causing something that I think could have been avoided if it had been handled properly. So those are my comments, and I will be voting in favor of that, because I think we all had the right reasons that we voted 9-2, and they were legitimate as far as I'm concerned. So,
Thank you. Councilor Delesio?
Thank you. I also want to agree with the sentiments here tonight. I also spoke with the chief, and I probably got some of the same choice words you did. He wasn't happy about the cut. He thought that, because this wasn't the first time we've had a discussion about the crossing guards. It really wasn't. So we had the opportunities, we didn't take it, but I think we sent a pretty strong message that night that, you know what, we do want this information. There is information that we want. There's a discussion that we want to have had. As Councilor Reynolds said, we went on, we got the information we wanted. I understand where you're coming from, Mrs. Parika, because I'm on the same page with you. I was also quite upset with the article that came out, because I just didn't like the way that was handled, to be quite honest. The day or two before that article came out, I called President Cook and I told him I want to introduce new business to get the crossing guards back. I didn't like the way it was perceived, that it was in part had anything to do with any other piece of business that was brought down or otherwise. It was for one piece of business, and only one piece of business only, and that was to get the crossing guards back. I'd heard from people, Stop and Shop. I heard from people on my cell phone, emails. You heard it. You know, I've talked to school officials, and they're like, you're gonna get it back, right? I've heard from crossing guards. It was the right thing to do. I don't regret the vote, because I think it started a very pertinent conversation, and we need to keep the conversation going and see if, you know, we can be some agents of change in this. But there's a lot about this that I'm just not happy about at all. I didn't like that article in the paper. I didn't like the fact that it was made out that we were making deals. There was no deal. The piece of business that Councilor Hegney and I brought in was separate from any other piece of business. And I'll end on that.
Thank you. And as I said, I'll keep any personal comments that I have during the whole meeting, because as the chairman, and I will say it was just coincidence, because when I had brought this up before, and I even said I hope the administration brings it back down, and that was on the council floor, that I did say that months ago when it was brought up, and as the police chief did have choice words, that he also, said it's not games. It's not, there's no games to be played here. He also has a young son, for anyone that doesn't know. He also has a young son himself that's in school. I'll talk to him back again, as I said, next week. I'm not gonna speak for him. I'm sure he has his own response to some of the comments. And as I said, it was coincidence. Councilor Delicio had brought in business, and then I had told Ken I wanted to bring in new business. So we just combined it. It was not a team effort. It was just coincidence because I felt it was enough time. I knew we couldn't appropriate the money ourselves, but some type of communication needed to be brought up to say, hey, okay, this needs to be brought down. Whether I do not regret my vote, because it did have a discussion. I can't go back and change it anyway, but I do not regret the vote. As Councilor Reynolds brought up, there was a councilor who's not here this evening, Mr. Conti, and he had made some comments that the only thing I do regret is voting that way with the information that I was given, maybe. That would probably be the only, is having trust in somebody's word or something they might have said, kind of a thing. He's not here this evening, so I'll leave it at that. And I know Councilor Cook has some comments, but I did not also like the article that was brought forth, because there was no deals made. I was never brought forth with any type of deals. And there's another piece of item in my committee that I am still not dealing with currently. There needs to be more empirical evidence and data to support that in discussion. And that has nothing to do with crossing guards at all. On a stack of Bibles, I will say that. Okay, President Cook?
Pass the stack of Bibles when you're done.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that, looking back on this whole process, we're going to view this as something we can all learn and grow from. I've been looking back and reviewing, as some of you know, the last several months, and there have been times it was not really our finest hour at all, but if we can learn from these and move forward. I think a lot of us were disturbed by the tone of that article. It's threatened to undo a lot of the work that was going on behind the scenes. I know, it sounds like many of us spoke with, the police chief about this matter. I know I was included in that group. I also spoke with the mayor on a few occasions about that particular item. I'd spoken, as Councilor Delicio mentioned, he had called me, mentioning that he was planning on bringing it in under new business, and it turned out that two councils were bringing this in independently. But I think if we can learn from this, just in terms of how to deal with issues going forward, I don't think that any of us looking ahead several months from now want to be here till after 1 o'clock in the morning making, cuts and so forth and voting on a budget. It's shades of what happens in Boston or Washington late at night at the end of the fiscal year. And we can avoid that if we not only start the process sooner, but at the same time, if we're able to get that information out, by asking the questions when we have the public hearing, asking the chairs to get information that they need, being able to bring the people in before us. As we know, we don't have to wait for the night that we're deciding on a budget item. If we want more information, there's other ways and means of actually being able to do that. And going forward, we'll be able to take advantage of it. I also want to mention that there's been a lot of talk about how late. I know Councilor Reynolds mentioned the budget coming down late. It came down on May 31st. It was not the latest this budget has ever come down, which has also been presented. In fact, there have been, in the time that I've been, I think in the current position that I'm in, there have been at least 3 occasions when it came down later than the date it came down this particular year, and yet we're able to work through the process and make sure that we get the work, done. And I think going forward, as I said, I hope we can use this as a learning experience so that going forward we'll be able to get the information we need at a time that gives us enough time to measure the full impact on the decisions that we're making, so that we can avoid a repeat of what we just went through. So, thank you.
Thank you. And before I call on Council, and just as Frank said, with even the budget coming down, we also have to remember Barry is the budget administration's person too, that he's working on that. And there was also the capital improvements. There's a lot of other things going on too. So I just want to give Barry credit for some of the work that he had been doing too, though, behind the scenes. Councilor Reynolds?
So I just want to clarify a few things that I said. One is about the article. I'm not discussing the latest article. That's not where I originally started having my issues. I had my issues from the very first article that was ever written about the vote that we took. And that was back in July. And it was wrong then about why we took it. It clearly started a mass hysteria way back in July. So I'm not speaking about the latest article that was written. I don't even know where that came from, but I know that the article that was written in July was totally incorrect about why we took that vote. My conversation with the chief was in July, and he was more than forthcoming then and thought that the vote was going to come down again in July, which it did not. I don't know why we had to wait till September for that vote to come out. It should have come out in July, at least in August, because we were all already having discussions about this. Off the record, with people that we knew were in the community that were having these discussions. So it should have come out. I'm offended that it didn't come out a second time, way before it got to the position that it did. And the articles that came in between, from July until the final one, were always off base and always incorrect. And that's the end of my comments.
Thank you. And that's why during committee, I always should say what you have to say, and if there's anyone else. As I said, any personal opinions that I have on this, I'll save for next week when we vote on it. Mr. Blair, are you all set, or can we vote?
I would like the councilors to think deep and hard, when this comes out. There was some mistakes made during this, and as Frank said, it's not necessary. And we should never, ever use our authority as a threat or pressure on anything, crossing guys, whatever. It's just, I think it got too personal, it got too late. The budget come down. Do we remember that the administration, Barry, administration was digging hard to get money to shift to the school? We did shift some. So, I mean, everything was part of that budget being late. But there's no excuses, as far as I'm concerned. If you've got questions for any department head that you're not at a budget hearing, or if you are here, you ask those questions. You don't wait till the 11th hour.
Thank you. And I will say, because of the chairman, because of my relation with the police chief, I didn't oversee that particular committee, so I don't participate in that. But I didn't have any questions at that time about the crossing guards. But the police chief, I will say, in the comments of, he's the police chief. His job is to oversee public safety. He doesn't play games. And if he asks for a budgetary item, he's asking for that money for a specific reason in the budget. Councilor Parika?
Thank you. Just as a redirect to Councilor Blair through the chair, I think that you're very fortunate. You have a long history on the council. And
Excuse me?
You're fortunate because you have a long history on the council, and you have, like I stated, is that, you have to know what questions to ask and when to ask them. And that's something that you don't inherently come in with. It's something that you have to learn. And so, as Councilor Cook said, this was a great learning experience. It was a good learning experience for all of us. And that next budget period, there will be significantly more questions, and I have the expectation, well, at least this counselor will be a little bit more informed, and I did learn an awful lot through this, because this was a unique budget period. It was a very unique one. The two previous budgets that I had gone through were not like this. So this was like going through heck out onto the other side. But you're fortunate to have that ability to have your years of experience to know what to ask for. Again, I have spoken with the police chief. We had a conversation shortly after budget. He was a little spicy, which is I couldn't blame him for that. But at the same token, the very specific information that we've asked for, we still haven't gotten. We may have had conversations that make us feel better about it. And I have never questioned once, it was never my intention to have them be laid off. And I just need to hammer that point home again. It wasn't necessary. The hysteria that took place, the length of time, any of those things, it was 100% not necessary because we had the money in the budget for them to start. And this council guaranteed that we would refund that money. There's specific stuff we're looking for. I'm sorry?
Excuse me, everybody, point of order.
It's not
Mr.
a
Blair, I'm gonna
guarantee.
call an adjournment in a second, please.
It's a voting item. It's a voting item before
And
you
one
adjourn.
thing, I'm gonna say this now, I've said this 3 times. I'm sick and tired of back and forth, little petty comments. I wanna be able to sit here and have open discussion as the chairman of the budget committee. I am sick and tired of the pettiness, and I call for a vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I call for an adjournment at 7:41 PM.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned at 7:41 PM.
Oh, I couldn't.
I thought it was on you.
I'd like to call to order the Committee on City Property and Claims at 7:41. And I have 7 motions, and they're pretty elongated, so I apologize. From the docket of September 20th, 2016, I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept the following items as a donation to the office of the Municipal Council. 2 Mainstays brand wall clocks with an estimated value of $5 each in good working condition, and 4 Energizer AA batteries with an estimated value of $5.
Second.
Okay, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but does anyone have any questions or concerns? Okay, all those in favor?
I have one question. Are we gonna see the clocks before we vote on them? or-
They're in the back. Would you like to? Because they're right. I can see them from my seat.
I'm just
Would you like me to
curious.
go get them?
No, that's all right. That's all right. I'll take a look at them later. I was just curious if they were here.
They're very tasteful, simple black with a white face. They're
Okay.
lovely.
Very good.
See if you take
Are they
To make sure it matches.
wall mounted or just, they're gonna sit here?
They would be wall mounted. The expectation. Ken has them actually.
Yeah,
I'll bring them up.
yeah, just in terms of the money, that's something we need to have.
That was
the
a
administration
question. Yeah,
handle.
that was a question. But I don't have any room for those in my house,
Very
so
good.
you do whatever you want with
Oh,
them.
thank you.
After if they don't get them.
Yeah, they don't have
Careful with the
batteries.
batteries.
Thank you. Yeah, we just have to go through the, in terms of hanging these on the wall, that's what the administration has to take care of.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there's no one opposed, are all in favor?
I.
Aye.
You. That motion passes. From the docket of September 20th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to declare the following Attleboro Public School items as surplus and available for disposition. There are 9 Canon IR copiers, and their numbers are 4570-1167-8187, KFP 04194. Second one, 2870-1148-7076, SLG 11419. Third, 2270-1139-5518, KGJ 04891. 4, 6570-1167-8396, SLP 12028. 5, 3530-11487007, KJG 01742. 6, 5070-11489250, SXP 13733. 7, 6050-113-97046, NDK 18422. 8, 3570-1190-704, KFV 09357, and the last one, 6000-11489231, NSN 21203. And then there is one Canon NP 2015 CGU 01567, and then an MDS ES 1500, a multi-copy controller. It's a coin-op attachment. Then in the graphic arts, there's an iTech Graphics 6113 camera, a graphic arts light table, a graphic arts workbench, AGFA RPS 2014 camera, meaning probably 2014 camera, 4 MasterTime Olight M-59, 2 CGR Lab Universal Timer Mode 172, 1 Polychrome camera, 4 Omega Enlarger B22, 1 HP 5100 LaserJet printer, 2 darkroom cylinders, 1 Exante laser printer, 1 Buckingham Graphics Dry Edge 2014 film dryer, 1 Newark 2024 vacuum frame, 1 AB Dick 30 duplicator, 4 T-head for Ryobi printing press, and 1 Bomb Folder 714 friction-fed folder. There are 4 convection ovens. They are Market Forge number 186C-2 convection ovens. And there is exercise equipment, 1 Lifestyle stationary bike, 1 Crossbow curling machine, 1 stationary abdominal apparatus, 1 treadmill, 1 weight bar resting apparatus, 1 curling bar, 6 straight bars with mismatched weights, and there is playground equipment. 1 straight monkey bar, 2 overlapping monkey bars, and 1 climbing apparatus with enclosed slides.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Are there any concerns, questions, or comments?
Thank you. Just, I'm curious as to the condition, especially of the equipment.
It says nothing about whether it's poor or good. I'm just assuming that it's either it's working, it's able to be sold, but it's old or outdated, and maybe not as safe for children, the types of things that they're getting rid of.
I assume that the playground equipment's probably.
Yeah, it's probably.
Rated. But I'm thinking more about the, are these photocopiers?
The copies are just, they're older. They're just older and not necessarily, not working, but not in good working condition.
Okay.
You know, not
Is
that,
there any way for the committee, for the meeting next week, we can get the information?
we can
on-
get exact, yeah.
Alright, I
I mean,
appreciate
if you want everything for exact,
Not exact, I'm just curious as to.
Well, I assume once it comes down here, even the people that I spoke to, it's not necessarily always in poor
Yeah.
condition, but it's not in really good condition either anymore, where it's giving you the kind of printable types of things that you need. You know, you're either repairing it too often, or you're bringing in toner way too often, and so it's costing you money.
For me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, on the, a lot of those items were unserviceable, and some of the items, for example, the playground equipment and the broken convection ovens are unsafe.
Yeah, I'm speaking more of the copy machines.
Okay, the copy machines, okay.
I think I tried to respond to
Yeah.
that it costs
Yeah.
more to continue the repairs for them than it
Right.
would be to purchase them.
Yeah, if you look at the packet from last week, there was a letter from the schools, and I think that may give you some more of the information also.
I can follow up,
Okay,
on
but they did say
my,
they were unserviceable, so.
Yeah,
just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an awful lot of copy machines, so.
I know,
Right.
but I think they wait, and then everybody gets them at the same time, and there's no problem getting new ones for everybody, you
Yeah.
know. Okay, but I'll reread what they had put. I just remember them saying unserviceable, as
Yeah.
Councilor Cook said. But if you want me to call them and be more specific, you know.
I can reach out and make some
Okay.
calls, not an issue. I just didn't know if you had it off the top of your head, that's all.
Okay. Okay, so, do I hear all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? From the docket of August 18th, 2016, I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of services for the lettering and graphics on the City of Attleboro's Veterans Van from Greenwood Emergency Vehicles with an estimated value of $3,000.
Second.
Okay, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Are there any questions or concerns?
They're very happy.
Okay, they're very happy. Okay, that's great. And we like it when people are happy. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Thank you, that motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to declare the following police department items as surplus for trade-in or resale value and available for disposition. 2007 Ford CV, VIN number 2FAFPZ71W17X104242. It has 135,954 miles, and the condition is poor. There's a 2008 Ford/CV, VIN number 2FAFP71V98X123811. It has 117,000 miles, 401, and its condition is poor. There's a 2007 Ford Taurus 1FAFP53U07A181807 is the VIN number. It has 91,209 miles, and it's in poor condition. There's a 2006 Ford Taurus. Its VIN number is 1FAFP53UX6A124058. It has 91,927 miles, and it is in poor condition. There's a 2003 utility trailer with a VIN number of 1B9BR1003H659058, and not applicable, obviously, for miles, but it is in poor condition.
Second.
All those, anyone with questions or concerns around these items? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of 2 5-drawer steel flat files with an approximate value of $500 from Bob Rottenstrach.
Second.
And I hope I did not destroy that name. My apologies if I did. Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of 5 desk chairs with an approximate value of $500 and 3 desks with an approximate value of $1,200 from $1,200 from Bristol County Savings Bank.
Second.
Okay, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but if anyone has any concerns or questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. That motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to approve a supplemental appropriation of $3,027 to account 1420100-524013, Public Works Maintenance of Traffic Lights, to repair city property that was damaged by a motorist at the intersection of Pleasant and Emery Streets. The total repair cost is $8,027, but the driver's insurance company will only pay $5,000, which leaves a remaining balance of $3,027 needed to facilitate the repairs.
Second.
Okay, any questions, concerns, comments?
I will let Mr. Cooper speak first, if that's okay.
Oh,
So, my question is related to our insurance company paying the difference. So why are the taxpayers paying the difference for them? And not our own insurance company?
good question.
Pay a lot of loot for our insurance, so. I mean, if there's a deductible or something we have to meet, I understand and appreciate all that, but I think that question needs to be asked.
Okay, so why don't I hold that motion
I can
until I
withdraw
Well, you
in
could-
second.
I'm sorry.
You could vote it and get it in between
I'd
this
rather
week
wait
and.
and find
okay.
it. I don't know the answer to that right now. Thank you, Ms. Hall.
I can withdraw my second.
Okay, why
I
don't we
withdraw
just
my
do that?
second.
Okay, thank you. And I will hold that motion until the next time. Okay, so that is all I have for city property and claims, and I would like to adjourn at 7:54. All in favor?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Mr. Cooper, before you start, my apologies.
Public safety emergency management is canceled this evening. And that's a wrap.
Just one more thing.
Sure.
It's Council Pereca's birthday this evening. I just wanted to recognize her before she scooted out without us being able to embarrass her more.
Me embarrassed? Never. No, thank you
Red.
very much.
I told her I was gonna sing, but I'll spare you all that.
Oh, that would be nice.
I did want to mention that Councilor Jackson is going to, has asked Ken to post a meeting next Tuesday night before the regular meeting. She has 3 items. They're all transfers of money. She was delayed or could not be here this evening. So anyway, so I just want to let you know that meeting, I anticipate will be posted in the next day or so. Okay?
And that will be for 6:30.
Probably 6:30.
Have a good night.
Perfect.